Did Elvis really sing that? Have you ever wondered what the king was thinking? Elvis Presley gave us some of the most iconic songs in music history, but mixed among his greatest hits are some truly puzzling choices that leave fans scratching their heads decades later. Number 15. Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Yes, the king of rock and roll actually recorded this children's nursery rhyme. Elvis belted out the farm animal classic, complete with chicken clucks and cow moos, during his movie Double Trouble in 1967. While Elvis could make almost anything sound cool, hearing the hip swiveling rebel who scandalized 1950s America singing E-I-E-I'll feels bizarrely incongruous with his rebellious image. The recording wasn't just a quick joke either. It was a fully produced track with Elvis committing completely to the childish lyrics. Perhaps this was an attempt to appeal to younger audiences as his movie career continued, but the sight of Elvis in his prime singing about ducks and pigs remains one of the strangest moments in his musical catalog. Number 14. No Room to Rumba in a Sports Car. Elvis recorded this peculiar tune for the soundtrack of his 1963 film, Fun in Acapulco. The song describes exactly what the title suggests: the physical impossibility of performing the rumba dance in a compact sports car. The lyrics describe the logistical challenges of dancing in a confined space with lines like, "There's no room to rumba in a sports car, too bumpy to samba in a Jeep." Elvis delivers these absurd lyrics with complete sincerity, making the entire concept even more bizarre. The song never charted and remains one of those odd soundtrack fillers that even dedicated Elvis fans rarely revisit. Why his management thought fans wanted to hear Elvis sing about automobile dance space limitations remains one of music history's minor mysteries. Number 13. Song of the Shrimp. Perhaps one of the strangest narrative songs ever recorded by a major artist, Song of the Shrimp tells the tragic life story of a shrimp named Crapo. Elvis recorded this peculiar tune for his 1962 film, Girls, 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 and commits fully to the bizarre storyline. The song follows the journey of the tiny crustacean from birth to being caught in a net and ultimately served as someone's dinner. Elvis sings with genuine emotion about the shrimp's plight, with lines like, "Swimming along, minding his business, along came a big fish with teeth like a saw." The song features Hawaiian-inspired instrumentation, and Elvis's passionate delivery makes the fate of the titular shrimp surprisingly moving, despite the inherent absurdity of a rock star singing a first-person ballad from a shrimp's perspective. Number 12. Yoga is as yoga does. In his 1967 film Easy Come, Easy Go, Elvis performed this peculiar number about yoga long before the practice became mainstream in America. The song features Elvis singing about meditation and flexibility, while demonstrating yoga poses in the film. With lyrics like, "Yoga is as yoga does. It's a way of life. Twist yourself into a pretzel with your arms behind your head," the song demonstrates a complete misunderstanding of yoga's spiritual foundations. The song treats yoga as a bizarre fad rather than an ancient practice. Even more strange is that Elvis himself was genuinely interested in spiritual teachings throughout his life, making this mocking portrayal particularly odd. The song remains a curious becket of 1960s, Hollywood's superficial understanding of Eastern practices. Number 11. Dominic the Impotent Bull. This bizarre song appears in Elvis's 1966 film, Harem Scarum, and tells the story of, yes, a bull with fertility problems. The song's protagonist is a Spanish bull who fails to perform his breeding duties, causing concern throughout the farm. Elvis somehow maintains his dignity while singing lines like, "Poor old Dominic, he's just not with it. The lady cows all wait, but he doesn't pay them a visit." The song features Spanish-inspired guitar and Elvis affecting an accent at times. What makes this song particularly strange is that it serves absolutely no purpose in advancing the film's plot, which was already a confused mess about Elvis playing a movie star kidnapped in the Middle East. The song stands as perhaps the only time a major recording artist has devoted an entire track to bovine reproductive difficulties. Number 10. Petunia, the Gardener's Daughter. This obscure track from the 1968 film Stay Away, Joe features Elvis singing about his love for a woman named Petunia, using plant-based double entendres throughout. The lyrics include lines like, "Petunia, the gardener's daughter, has the sweetest smellin' roses in the land." The song is filled with awkward plant metaphors and forced rhymes that make it stand out for all the wrong reasons. What makes this song particularly strange is that it appears in a film where Elvis plays a Native American rodeo rider named Joe Lightcloud, making the garden-themed love song completely disconnected from the film's setting and storyline. The song received minimal promotion and remains buried in Elvis's vast catalog, known only to completists and those with an interest in the King's oddest musical moments. Number 9. Fort Lauderdale, Chamber of Commerce. Elvis recorded this peculiar promotional-sounding song for his 1960 film G.I. Blues. The track essentially functions as a tourism advertisement for Fort Lauderdale, Florida, listing various attractions and activities available in the coastal city. Elvis enthusiastically sings about fishing opportunities, beautiful women, and sunshine in what sounds suspiciously like a commissioned tourism jingle rather than a legitimate pop song. What makes this particularly odd is that the film's plot takes place primarily in Germany, where Elvis's character is stationed as a soldier, making the Florida tourism anthem completely irrelevant to the storyline. The song was never released as a single, but remains a curious example of what feels like product placement in musical form decades before such practices became common. Number 8. There's no room to rumba in a sports car. Elvis recorded this strange novelty song for his 1963 film Fun in Acapulco. The entire premise revolves around the physical impossibility of performing Latin dances in compact automobiles. Elvis earnestly delivers lyrics like, "There's no room to rumba in a sports car, too dangerous to tango in a bus, with complete commitment." The song continues listing various dance styles and vehicles that don't complement each other for its entire duration. What makes this particularly odd is that the film was meant to showcase Elvis' sex appeal in exotic Mexico, yet this novelty song feels more like something suited for a children's record or comedy album. The song was never released as a single, and remains one of the clearest examples of the filler material Elvis was often required to record for his numerous film soundtracks. Number 7. He's Your Uncle, Not Your Dad. This peculiar patriotic song appeared in Elvis's 1968 film Speedway and encourages Americans to respect the IRS and pay their taxes willingly. The song personifies the government as Uncle Sam and reminds listeners that while he may take their money, he's not really their father. With lyrics like, "He's your uncle, not your dad. He doesn't have to care, but he does. Yes, he does." The song attempts to humanize tax collection during a sequence where Elvis' character is dealing with tax problems. The song feels particularly strange, given that Elvis himself would later have significant tax issues and eventually meet with President Nixon to discuss becoming an undercover agent in the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. This odd ode to tax compliance stands as one of the few rock songs promoting the Internal Revenue Service. Number 6, The Bullfighter, was a lady. This bizarre track appeared in Elvis' 1963 film, Fun in Acapulco, and tells the story of a female bullfighter who captivates the male protagonist. With lyrics like, "She was built just like an hourglass," and "The time sure seemed to fly," the song relies heavily on dated gender stereotypes and suggestive wordplay. What makes this song particularly strange is its tone-deaf cultural appropriation of Spanish bullfighting traditions mixed with objectifying lyrics, all delivered in what was intended to be a family-friendly musical sequence. The song features imitation Spanish, musical flourishes, and Elvis affecting an accent at times, adding to its uncomfortable nature. Despite the film being one of Elvis's more successful movies, this particular song never gained popularity and has been largely forgotten outside of comprehensive Elvis collections. Number 5, Queeny Waheens' Papaya. This peculiar track from the 1966 film, Paradise, Hawaiian Style, combines cultural stereotypes with strange, food-based innuendo. The song tells the story of a woman named Queeny who sells papayas at a fruit stand, but the lyrics are filled with double entendres about her papaya being the best in the land. Elvis delivers lines like, "Queeny Waheens' papaya is the greatest that can be found, soft and sweet and creamy inside, firm and round, with unironic enthusiasm." The song features exaggerated Hawaiian-style instrumentation that bears little resemblance to authentic Hawaiian music. What makes this song particularly strange is that it was featured in a film marketed toward families and younger audiences, despite its obvious suggestive content poorly disguised behind fruit metaphors. Number 4, Do the Clam. In his 1965 film, Girl Happy, Elvis introduced the world to a dance craze that never actually existed: the clam. The song instructs listeners on how to perform this fictional dance, with movements mimicking a clam opening and closing its shell. Elvis energetically sings directions like, "Do the clam, dig, 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 do the clam," while demonstrating the awkward movements in the film. What makes this particularly strange is the commitment to creating a dance based on a sedentary mollusk, perhaps the least dynamic creature one could choose as dance inspiration. Despite the song's catchy melody, the clam never caught on as a real dance trend, remaining one of Elvis's most bizarre attempts at launching a dance craze. The song exemplifies the often desperate attempts by Elvis's management to capitalize on 1960s dance fad culture, regardless of how ridiculous the concept. Number 3. This peculiar children's song appeared in Elvis's 1967 film Clambake and features the king singing life advice to a child he meets. The song's simple lyrics repeat, with a little confidence, "You can move any mountain," while Elvis demonstrates self-assured behaviors to inspire the boy. What makes this song particularly strange is seeing Elvis, who by this point was known worldwide as a sex symbol and rock icon, singing an educational children's song more suited for Sesame Street than a rock and roll soundtrack. The sequence in the film feels completely disconnected from the main plot and Elvis's character, giving the impression it was inserted solely to add Reju Key and create another soundtrack opportunity. The contrast between Elvis's rebellious image and this wholesome children's tune creates one of the most tonally bizarre moments in his musical catalog. Number 2. A Dog's Life. This obscure track from the film G.I. Blues features Elvis singing from the perspective of a dog, contemplating the advantages and disadvantages of canine existence. The song includes lyrics like, "It's a dog's life. They're always throwing me a bone," and features Elvis occasionally barking and howling. The track was never released as a single and remains one of the stranger examples of Elvis's film soundtrack filler material. What makes this song particularly odd is that it serves absolutely no narrative purpose in the film and seems to exist solely to fill Burcombe. Elvis delivers the song with surprising commitment, fully embracing the role of a philosophical dog contemplating its existence. The song stands as evidence of how little creative control Elvis had over his recorded output during his film career years, as it's difficult to imagine he would have chosen to record a novelty song about being a dog if given the choice. Number 1. Drums of the Islands. While this song might sound innocent enough, what makes it strange is the cultural context and Elvis' delivery. Recorded in 1965 for the film Paradise, Hawaiian Style. The song features Elvis attempting to mimic traditional Hawaiian chanting while drums pound dramatically in the background. The resulting performance veers uncomfortably into cultural appropriation territory, with Elvis affecting what he believes sounds like a Hawaiian accent and chanting made-up syllables that have no actual meaning in Hawaiian language. The film was shot during a period when Hawaii had only recently become a state, and the exoticized portrayal of Hawaiian culture throughout both the movie and this song in particular demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of the island's rich cultural heritage. The song features lyrics like, "Drums of the Islands, you're beating in my heart," delivered with dramatic intensity that feels oddly disconnected from the tropical paradise setting of the film. Each of these songs represents a moment where Elvis's management, movie producers, or record label pushed him to record material that seems bizarrely mismatched with his talent and persona. From singing his animals to promoting tax compliance, these strange song choices reveal the commercial pressures and artistic compromises that sometimes characterized Elvis's career during his movie years. Many of these peculiar songs come from the period film historian critics call Elvis Wilderness years, the 1960s, when his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, bronetized quantity over quality, pushing Elvis to star in formulaic films with increasingly absurd soundtracks. These songs stand in stark contrast to the ground-raining rock and roll that made Elvis famous, or the powerful gospel and emotional ballads that showcased his true vocal abilities. What might Elvis's legacy look like if he had maintained creative control throughout these years, instead of recording songs about impotent bulls and dance-challenged sports cars? Would we remember him differently if these strange musical detours had never happened?